Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. We're going to continue here. It's part 2 for today. It's Tuesday, April 16th, 2013. I'm Darko. Poison found in letter to U.S. Senator. So again, I think this just comes straight from the basement of the NSA or wherever agency, and send them to a senator. Get the fear going. A letter addressed to the office of Senator Roger Wicker, a Republican from Mississippi, contained a suspicious substance that might have been potentially deadly ricin, sparking new fears of security threats in Congress. At the same time, the country was reeling from the terror bomb attacks in Boston. They just right around the invasion of Iraq. They were sending letters and anthrax threats. That's all crap. Before bombings, feds, I mean, these people, most of them are completely bought out. There ain't nobody. If they go down, they're going down from a person. What is it? Basically, their reputation, character assassination. That's how they're going down, because they got dirt on all these ass bags. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there working for Monsanto and all these companies. Before bombings, feds questioned Massachusetts' security plan. So it says here they didn't have enough security. DHS is sure to raise questions in the weeks ahead of now the Massachusetts spent and how they spent their federal grant money to protect the state and better evaluate terror threats. So yeah, you're not going to prevent it, especially when it's a black op. People that can do this stuff, a lot of times, they know the weaknesses, they know the loopholes or the holes in security, and they exploit them because they're creative about seeing people that are carrying them out. Michael Moore on guns. What are these white people so afraid of? So this is kind of a side note, but talking about violence, right? Is as they're telling American people that they need to be disarmed. Police stations and departments are really stocking up. DHS buying, billions of ammunition. I mean, hollow point ammunition. I mean, this is some hardcore stuff. So only they can do it, I guess. I guess apparently we don't have any sense of history. We're completely naive now. I hate to say it. Well, at least half the country is, right? Michael Moore said, fear and racism fuels America's insistence that the government uphold their Second Amendment rights to own firearms. Says, we are an afraid people, and we've been afraid people for some time. And this is another example of just pure ignorance. He uses Germany and Japan as a way of always turning violence to solve problems. So in fact, Germany, tried 10, 15 times to avoid carrying out any kind of military operations in Poland, but it completely ignored by the British because, well, they wanted a war, right? So, Japan. What about Russia? Where the United States funded Russia, killed up to 50 million of their own people. How about that? And you funded that. And talk about that history of violence, dude. And Japan, right? Before they were attacked, what did you do? Well, they put oil embargoes, all this crap. I've already went through all of this. The U.S. took full control of the Japanese economy before they bombed some tiny island Americans never heard of. But, yeah, we're always turning to violence, right? So, after Boston bombings, 1,000 cops deployed to landmarks and transit sites. So they completely shut down the square. They've had Army National Guard out. New York cops yesterday flooded the streets, landmarks, and transit hubs to make people feel safe and secure while scrutinizing live video feeds at key spots for suspicious activity. As if New York didn't look like or mirror the UK or Britain's or London's surveillance, Big Brother surveillance state. This changes everything here, said one grim-faced source. Everyone's on high alert. Just my own personal advice. I've never been to New York. I don't ever want to go there. I have no desire to go to New York. And if you live there, I would recommend getting the hell out of there, just like Chicago or LA. FBI's history of handling terror suspects, live explosives. Late September 2011, AFP reported that a man was charged with planning to fly explosive-packed remote-controlled airplanes into the Pentagon Capitol in Washington. In its report, the U.S. man charged with Pentagon bomb plot states, during the alleged plot, undercover FBI agents posed as accomplices who supplied Cowardice with one remote-controlled plane, C-4, and small arms that he allegedly envisioned using the simultaneous ground assault in Washington. However, the public was never in the danger from the explosive devices, which were controlled by undercover FBI employees. It says here, Cowardice was arrested in Framingham, near Boston, immediately after putting the newly delivered weapons into a storage container. Says here, authorities described the man as a physics graduate from Northeastern University who followed Al-Qaeda and was committed to violent jihad since earlier this year. November 2010, a similar plot was engineered and disrupted also by the FBI, this time in Portland, Oregon, called the Christmas Tree Bomber. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting, too. You had the Christmas Day Bomber, too, and he was an FBI patsy or operative. He was handled by a CIA operative, too, to get on the plane. You can go through, they go on through another one. FBI foils alleged suicide bomb attack on U.S. Capitol back in February of 2012. During the investigation, these explosives in the Capitol region were basically with undercover operatives. So it just goes on and on and on, right? The Man on the Roof and 4 other conspiracy theories surrounding the Boston bombings. National tragedies like yesterday's Boston Marathon bombing are fertile ground for conspiracy theorists, especially when information has been so scarce in the immediate aftermath. Information's out there. That's what they're scared of. People like myself, all different people on the internet, people that comment, they give me ideas. They give me, somewhere to start, paths to go down. And so we're being skeptical, right? There's obviously a big distrust of government. There always has been. But it says here, as such, it's probably no surprise that already evidence and hypotheses are circulating among conspiratorial denizens of the internet, attempting to prove some sort of sinister government motive or irregularities regarding the bombing. So, I mean, you want to know. I mean, you want to know who did it, right? So does everybody. But just pinning it on some patsy, that's not going to be good enough. Nearly all these theories are either based on false evidence or appeal to general paranoia. For the sake of clarity, they're going to point them out in order to expose these problems and avoid unnecessary panic in the aftermath of one of the most brutal recent national tragedies. Something that is worth asking, what was up with the man on the roof, right? That came out and stuff like that. Who knows? But recently they said that they were trying to make it so that nobody can be on the roofs. So they had actually made it illegal or banned it to be on the roofs for this marathon. So it was kind of odd. There was actually someone up there, but he could have just been watching it. No big deal, right? That's not saying that that's completely true. We're just trying to make an argument here. Bomb-sniffing dogs. So they say that the fact that they were holding an exercise and telling people to stay calm before the bombs went off, and that they were sending out tweets in the state that, hey, we're going to be holding controlled demolitions today, right? Like every other, quote, national tragedy or terrorist attack. So, no questioning there. And, of course, false flag government-sponsored terror. So it took almost no time for all the usual suspects to claim that the Boston bombing, far from being an act of terror, was, in fact, a false flag operation sponsored by the CIA. So far from being an act of terror, no, it was an act of terror, Was it Mossad? Who was it? Massachusetts governor was himself reportedly asked the very question about false flag, and he told a questioner no. So I guess that's the buck stops here, I guess, right? And it says here, former Georgia Representative Cynthia McKinney wrote on Twitter, the pattern is becoming too familiar, so Boston cops were having a bomb squad drill on the same day. Surprise conspiracy website tells visitors to think only of Boston Marathon victims. There is always a certain amount of conspiracy culture that accompanies horrific events that play out in 24/7 media. No, actually, the regular mainstream media sensationalizes and shows the gory pictures and gets you in fear, gets you that victim mentality programming, whereas alternative media is trying to fight all of these glossing over, waving the American flag around this stuff, talking about heroes of the police and that, fed by the dramatic speculations of citizens, pundits, and journalists alike. So an instant website came up, bostonmarathonconspiracy.com. So they're greeted by one simple message: I bought this domain to keep some conspiracy theory kook from owning it. Please keep the victims of the family in your thoughts. So it says here that this Mulhausen now reports that he's encouraged by emails from around the world. He says that the irrational expletive did not win this one. We know about the Army Psychological Operations Unit and that, but one commenter said the crazy thing is some kook is going to now say that this guy is in on the conspiracy. Man who died in blasts lived in tinfoil wrapped home and filmed neighbors. So a man who apparently blew himself up with explosives in Costa Mesa home was known to record video of his neighbors from his property. See, that's funny too, because it's like when I capture footage of chemtrails, people probably think I'm taking footage of them, but I'm not. They don't bother to come up and ask me, why are you taking footage of me? I'm like, well, I'm not. I'm taking footage of this chemical attack, this aerosol assault on us. I mean, that doesn't bother you? You never were skeptical and asked why, what's up with all this spraying? Why are the clouds being disappeared? Why haven't I seen the sun in 2 weeks? Prompting calls to police from residents, right? Good snitches. So he had a history of mental illness, and he made cryptic notes that would appear on tape to the tree front, saying, like one note said, "For your information, my introspection and my adversary's behavior have convinced me that electronic mind reading is now a reality." So he wrote a 17,000-word essay titled "The Pricker," which is basically something that probably Hugo Chavez got his cancer from, like a little biological agent that you just touch the skin barely. So, for whatever it's worth, yeah, this guy probably was a little off his rocker, but getting this information can make you lose your mind. So, for whatever it's worth, though, he's dead. So, commenters say he must have been a Second Amendment activist since he had so much explosives in his home, and the NRA supports allowing private citizens to own as many explosives as they want. So, gunpowder again. Here we go. So, someone should have gotten this whack job institutionalized a very long time ago. Well, it wasn't harming anybody. It wasn't stealing from anybody else, right? Just sat in his backyard, apparently. Harmless. Kevin Harris, friend of Randy Weaver, Ruby Ridge. So, yeah, I was looking for the comment, though, but it was basically trying to tie this guy in with the Boston bombings, basically saying that, this conspiracy people now are going to be bombers. So, how not to tweet about a tragedy. So they're going to tell you what not to say, or basically what to say. Jeremy Stahl offers me, the media, some advice on slates. So, turned out, basically said, here, turn off auto-posting, use official or first-person sources, don't tweet speculation. Realize even the best outlets get things wrong. Yeah. Don't snark. No one wants to read jokes. Don't try to score political points. Don't get political at all. And don't feed the trolls. Retweeting outrageous conspiracy theories is tempting, but just ignore them. Speaking of which, Boston Marathon bombing. Seth MacFarlane calls Family Guy hoax abhorrent. It says here, Fox has removed the episode in question from Fox.com. So, one of the more tasteless hoaxes making the rounds in this wake of the bombing of the Boston Marathon revolves around the Family Guy Turban Cowboy, which premiered on March 17th. It says here, depicted Peter Griffin accidentally blowing up a bridge by dialing a terrorist cell phone. It says here, it's placed immediately after an unrelated moment in the episode when Bob Costas asked Peter how he won the Boston Marathon. So, how would he know that? I don't know. Maybe he's trying to warn people. Maybe it's just whatever. I don't, who knows? But Westboro Church, they're back again. We'll picket the Boston Marathon funerals. So it says here, the church's reasoning: God sent the bombs. How many more terrifying ways will will the Lord injure? Blah 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 blah. Right. So again, this is a psyop. This to me personally, is a psychological operation, and so they don't represent Christians. They don't represent spiritual people at all. But that's what they're there for, to discredit other people. Security exercise planned around upcoming Bilderberg meeting. So complete security lockdown at upcoming Bilderberg conference. According to a citizen journalist, it says here that the hotel will be cordoned off. And it says here for a security exercise planned exactly at the same time the Bilderberg conference is expected to take place. From June 6th to June 9th, the Boston Marathon bombing, drones, and the meaning of cowardice. It says here, as I write this, we still don't know who's responsible for the horrific bombing. So, it says here, perhaps it will turn out to be the work of homegrown right-wing nuts. Perhaps the act of foreign terrorists. But whatever the source, what strikes me is a number of times the barbaric assault is being denounced as cowardly. There's the Boston Police Commissioner's warning the cowardly act will not be taken in stride. It's being used by political figures across the United States and by editorial writer in Kansas City Star. It says here it's being termed, this term is being used in messages of support from abroad from prime ministers of India to prime ministers of Italy. But if the definition of cowardice, what could be more cowardly than the now cliche image of the buttoned-down CIA officer agent driving to work in Las Vegas to assume a shift as the controls of a drone circling high over some dusty village on the other side of the world? Chuck Hagel cancels creation of new drone cyber metal. Major 7.8 earthquake strikes Iran, leaves hundreds dead. This follows a 6.1 quake from weeks ago that was near their nuclear plant. Iraq's Bloody Monday, 75 killed, 356 wounded. Major suicide attack targets Pakistan's opposition. And we'll continue with Venezuelan destabilization by the West. going on there. This is GGN. Thank you.